Good evening, everyone. My name is Maury Mungeon, and I will be your host for this evening. And I just want to welcome you all to our Community Empowerment Hour, where uh, we encourage and how many of you ever heard knowledge is power? And the more we know, especially about our physical makeup, our the remedies that God has given us to help us with managing our bodies and actually managing sicknesses as well, is one of the tools that I believe we all need to know about, which we're going to talk a little bit about that more on that this afternoon or this evening. But also, if you've been with us, we've talked about money management. We've talked about, now we had more health talk, other health talks. We had segments on cooking. And so if you missed those, we'll be putting in the chat our health website where you can go on there and look back at some of the programs that we presented earlier on this year. Also, I want to remind you that if you did not give us your information as far as your email address so that we can put you on the list for future events, I want to encourage you to put your email in the chat, and I believe you'll see Merlene Andre, and you can either do the drop down and put it in her name, chat her, or just put it in the box and she'll get it as well. But make sure she gets your information so that we can invite you to more programs that we're having. So tonight we have an exciting program for you. But first, I am going to start off with the word of prayer, and I will then turn the program over to Dr. Julie. And I am so interested in waiting to hear what she has to say this evening. We're going to be talking about hydrotherapy. But let us pray. Father, once again, we thank you for just an opportunity to share the knowledge and the wisdom that you've allowed so many to have. And I thank you for Dr. Julie, who is taking time out of her schedule so that she can share some of that information with us. Help us, Lord, as we meet. May you guide us, and I thank you for the community that have logged on, and I pray that you would just give us all the wisdom that we need to live a better life and to help others. So we thank you for all that you do and what you're doing in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So without further ado, I am going to turn the program over to Dr. Julie. Dr. Julie, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. It's an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be able to be with you guys and to share simple things that you can do at home. I'm here at UG Pines Institute, and I also work at Country Life, so I have an office there. And just this weekend, I was doing a whole training at a center for church members, and they were so excited to be able to have that opportunity to learn how to use different types of hydrotherapy treatments. So what I want to do is I just want to basically touch base on immunity, because if we don't have good immunity, then it's easier for us to not feel well. So we will definitely get sick. So I want to talk a little bit about boosting your immune system and overall health and what we can do in order to do that. So with our immune system, it works 24/7. That means it works all the time. It never takes a stop. It never stops working. If it does, then that's not a good thing. You would not be in the land of the living. When it comes to your immune system, it has to neutralize those threats. So, our immune system is what fights or is the battle. It's the thing that battles for us. It's like our military, right? And so that's why this is probably one of the most important things that we can talk about. And so therefore, that's why I'm sharing these things. And the immune system also helps to trying to, also helps to protect us from our external dangers like pathogens and environmental toxins, as well as internal threats like cancer cells. So the immune system is huge. It's what takes care of all these different things. In order to have a healthy immune system, you have to have a quick fighting, it has to be quick at fighting those threats, and it has to be strong enough so then that way you can feel energetic, healthy, and optimistic. In order to do all of that, we have to take care of it. So other things that we need to understand is that when you feel sick or you have low energy, that impacts your mood. And also that means you could be fatigued, have depression, you're just zapped out, just not able to do a lot of things. So this is why it's so important that we take note of how we're feeling, because when we start feeling run down, that is letting us know that our immune system is weak and we need to rest. We need to do a bunch of other things so then that way we can build that immune system back up. So how does it actually work? It works on colds, flu, virus. It fights all foreign invaders, and it needs energy to do so. And that's why people want to sleep, right? If you are tired, you should just go to sleep, because that is your body telling you that it's trying to defend or fight off any foreign invaders. Another thing is sometimes we have a lot of mental fatigue. And what happens is you have general apathy that helps to safeguard energy. So your immune system has resources it needs to beat the cold or fight the flu or whatever invader that's trying to get into the body. So think of your immune system as the army, one of the parts of the military, because in the background on this slide, you can see that there's a mast cell, neutrophil, NK cells, and a few other macrophage. And these cells are our immune system. And so if we have the military, we have the Navy, we have the Army, you get the point, right? So that's kind of like how each one of these work. And they work on different things, different places in the body in order to get rid of whatever that might be that's trying to fight your body. So what is a mast cell? Well, mast cell is part of the immune system, and its role is part of that inflammation to help defend against pathogens. It involves wound healing and tissue repair, histamines, part of the allergic reaction, like with pollen, or if you get stung by a bee or whatever it might be. So this is something that your body is actually saying, hey, there's a problem here. So most people think that disease is a bad thing, but actually disease is not a bad thing. Disease is something to let us know that our body is working and it needs to do something in order to make things right. So it's trying to fight off. So these cells right here that you're seeing right on your screen right now, these are our fighter cells. These are the ones that go to work to help our bodies to be strong. So it's military, right? These cells fight off the invaders. They kill and they clean up these cells. If they don't clean up the cells, then we're going to have other problems. When we think of brain issues, if they're being killed but not being cleaned up, then we're going to have problems like Alzheimer's, depression, different things like that. So it's very important that every part of these phases is actually working. So then that way it's able to do the whole process. And the other part of this is called the lymphatic system. That's that clean up and clear out. And this involves inflammation that takes place in the body. And you definitely want that to take place. Now, this here's a little bit about COVID-19. And we know that you might have even known people that have had COVID. You might have had it yourself, or you might have known people that had to go to the hospital, or even maybe someone that might have died. So this is the way it actually works. When we get sick or infected, and our system and our immune system is down, because if you see on the top part here, it says healthy, infected, moderate, and then severe. So we can see what's happening to the lungs and the alveoli, and how each one of those, that first that first picture there with the little blood cells, those little white, those little red things that go around that ball there, those are our white, those are our red blood cells. And that shows perfect circulation going on there. So everything is working the way it's supposed to. But then as we go down with the infection there, we see that there's a whole bunch of little spots inside that the alveoli or the air sacs of your lungs. And then you see like SARS-CoV-2 structure, and we're seeing what's taking place there, that these proteins are being attached there, and it's causing problems with the breathing. And so if it continues to happen, then you see the moderate part there with the yellow stuff that's getting to be filled up in those sacs, in those alveoli sacs. And you're starting to see some fluid and whatnot build up in there. And so when this starts taking place, that means that there's going to be some space in between, and it's not going to be able to be working properly, because now the alveoli are infected, and now they're filling up with the fluid. And then when it gets really bad, like severe, it gets totally filled up, and now we have a huge problem. So if that gas exchange is not being done, then you're not going to be able to breathe. And the oxygen is so key, because if you can't breathe, that's a huge problem. And so we can see here what is happening with that when someone gets a severe case. Therefore, we have to work diligently to be able to take care of this. So one big question might be, what exactly is inflammation? Well, most people think that inflammation is bad, but inflammation can be good as well. But when we think of inflammation, we think of acute, which is for a short period of time, or we think of chronic, which is for a long period of time. So those would be more of your big disorder, your disorders such as autoimmune problems, chronic inflammation. It could lead to heart problems. It can lead to diabetes. It can lead to a host of different things. Whereas acute would be more like if you get a sprain or a cut or a splinter or something like that, the inflammation lasts for about, minutes to weeks. But if that inflammation doesn't go down after having a sprain, then there's going to be major problems, because what's happening is that the fighter cells are going down there and they're dying down there, and they're creating more inflammation. And so we need to help assist the body with that inflammation to get it out of that area. So another thing about that is our immune system is everywhere. It's not just one organ. It's in a number of different organs, like our tonsils, our lymph nodes. And that's why the lymphatic vessels or lymphatic system is so key here, because every vein that we have has a parallel to the lymphatic vein, right? And so when it's cleaning out the blood, it takes the junk or the garbage, I guess you could say, and it passes it through to the lymphatic vessels. And as we walk, as we perspire, as we do different things, this is how the lymphatic is like the highway or the road that leads to the garbage dumps. And there's different areas in our body that are garbage dumps to get out these toxins, and also to free our system. So then that way we can be healthy and strong. So we have these immune fighters, these cells in different places, like your thymus, your lymph nodes, your appendix, your bone marrow, your spleen, your tonsils. So we can see that they play a part in all areas of the body. So then that way they're ready to get there and to be able to help fight off whatever might be happening. So what are some simple action steps to regain health and support your health? Well, most people are running all over just trying to get something, anything possible to do something to feel good, so that way they don't get sick. However, what we need to do is be really interested in our health. And in order to do that, we need to look at a number of things. And first and foremost is sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Because when we reduce our sleep by 90 minutes, just one night, that can reduce our daytime alertness by 32%. That's that may seem kind of small, but that's pretty huge. Just a 90-minute, hour and a half will reduce your alertness the next day by 32%. And if you have untreated sleep disorder and can last, and it can have long-term effects such as high blood pressure, stroke, heart failure, and even obesity. So these are very key things, and these are huge things. Obesity can play roles with other health issues. Heart failure, stroke, and high blood pressure are all big things that are also connected with sleep. Sleep is vital for health because its performance and well-being is what we're looking for. If you want to have a robust immune system, you need to get your sleep. And when you prioritize sleep, you start supporting the release of hormones that keep the immune system strong. And 35% of adults in the US not getting recommended sleep, they lead to fatigue, mood difficulties, and poor health. So if you struggle to fall asleep or if you sleep peacefully throughout the night, then we need to look simply to lifestyle changes. And it can be so simple. And I like to do things simple, because if we get so caught up in, well, we got to do it, then it seems like it's very hard to do those things. So if we look at the simple part of it, eat foods that are whole food, plant-based. Keep it simple. Don't try to make it so hard. So sleep is a simple lifestyle change, right? So in order to get that sleep, we might have to think about don't eat heavy meals at night. Because if you eat a heavy meal at night, then that means that your stomach is going to be working and you're not going to get really good sleep. Control the temperature in the room. You can also track your sleep to see if you're really sleeping your 8 hours or your 7 hours or your 9 hours every night. If you think you're sleeping that many hours, maybe you're not getting all the REM cycles. So we have to look and find out what exactly is taking place. And it could be that the temperature is not right or something else. Avoid screens at night, meaning don't be looking at TV in your room. Don't be looking at your iPad or your phone when you're in bed, because what it does, it alerts inside your brain and it gives that signal to say, be up, be up, be up. So it's very hard a lot of times to go to sleep when you're looking at those things. Other things that are very simple is watch your caffeine consumption. I usually tell people it's better not to have any caffeine because it does something to your nervous system. And our nervous system is part of our brain because they run together, and our spinal cord. So it's all part of that. And it can affect not only that, our nerves, but also our muscles, and it affects our brain. So we want to make sure that if you are drinking caffeine, try to find a substitute if you can, because that would be way better. I've had people come off their caffeine, putting them on a good program to help them get healthy, and they have felt so good, full of energy without even having caffeine over a period of so many days. So another thing is tire yourself out with physical activity. Start moving a little more. Did you know that we have 840 muscles if you count every single muscle, even the ones on your spine? You know, they're the same muscles, but there's a whole bunch of them. But if you count every single one of them, we have 840 muscles. Another thing is wake up every morning by working out. Do some kind of activity to get going. That's going to help you even with your bowel movements. It's going to help you to stay active. So then that way you will be tired when it's time to go to bed at night. Read a book to wind down. Or, you know what, if you can't sleep, don't count sheep, but talk to the shepherd, because he's the one that can change your life. Another thing is hydration, drinking plenty of water, making sure that you're getting what your body needs. When it's hot, you need more water. When it's cold, you need a lot of water. So how do we know how much to drink? Take your body weight, times it by 0.55, and that's how many fluid ounces you should get. So an example would be if you weigh 100 pounds, then you should times that by 0.55, and that gives us 55 fluid ounces that we should be drinking. If you weigh 200, that's 110 fluid ounces that a person should drink. If you talk for an hour, you should drink an extra glass of water. So if your job is talking, then you're going to have to drink plenty more water. If you go to the gym and you start sweating, you're going to need another glass of water. So if you get a headache, same thing. You should drink a glass of water every 10 minutes for an hour. So that means by the time you drink the fourth or fifth glass of water, not only will you be might be waterlogged, but it will definitely be to the point where you probably don't have a headache anymore. Another thing is eating. Keep it simple. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, grains, whole nuts, seeds, because these things are nutritious. And these things have a lot of vitamins and minerals in them. And so it's very vital to eat good food that's wholesome, a whole food plant base, because it's live food. Also consider intermittent fasting because it'll reset your immune system. It'll raise the level of your fighter cells in your body, and it will help them. And during these periods of fasting, the body recycles those old immune cells and it replaces them with new ones. So it's really important that we fast, whether it be a fruit fast or whether it be just taking 8 hours in a day and saying we're not going to eat anything during those 16 hours. So you can do something like from 10 to 6. You can do a few smoothies throughout that period of time. They call it intermittent fasting. And what it does is you're using simple foods like smoothies or green drinks or something like that. And what it will do, it will help to clear out the body, boost the immune system, and help your body feel better during that. And people live on, I kind of want to think that if you eat 2 meals a day and you do like 5-6 hours in between those 2 meals, it's basically intermittent fasting in a way, because you have 16 hours of fasting. But another thing is, if we could drink more water, that's going to be very helpful. And this process of degrading a cell's mitochondria, which is the powerhouse cell, is known as mitophagy, which is very important because of the way it responds, and it helps to boost your immune system. Research believed immune reset only occurred during prolonged multi-day fasts, but there was research done in 2019 in the New England Journal of Medicine that similar benefits when practicing the intermittent fasting, you can get pretty much the same benefits, very similar. That's why when I practice at Country Life, I'm not mainly at the Lifestyle Center here as we have guests come in. I have a practice at our health food store and vegetarian restaurant in Columbus, Georgia. So with my practice, people don't come and stay like we do here at the Lifestyle Center. So I put them on an intermittent fasting for 3 days. And let me tell you, during that time, their addictions are being shedded off, I guess you could say. And they're starting to feel more energized at the end of the first or second day. And it's amazing to see how people get such results. So the common window here is like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's what most people do. I don't usually do the noon to 8 just because it's so late and I don't want people to eat so late at night. So the 10 to 6 would be my one that I would tell them if they're a late night snacker or they eat all the time. Or if you want to do an early one like 7 to 3, that would be more conducive for most people. And even the people that come here as lifestyle guests, we have them eat at 7 o'clock in the morning for their breakfast. And their second meal is at like 1 o'clock. So they finish around 2. So they actually are following intermittent fasting and they're getting results as well. So it's kind of like even though we do have them fast for the first 1 to 3 days as well. So other things that you can do is limit the processed foods such as your sugars, because with sugar, it will decrease our immune function. So things that we need to look at: fast foods, sodas, ultra processed fruits, anything that's like white or it doesn't have what it really needs. So when you go to the grocery store, you need to look at the food label. see what kind of things that are in there. What are the ingredients? And if you have never heard the word, can't pronounce it, don't know what it is, more than likely it's highly processed. So here's some examples of those highly processed foods: Cheetos, Twinkies, Oreos. Yeah, those are the things we need to avoid, but those are the things that most of us are eating. So those are things that we need to look at. Look, next time you see one of those in the store, look at the ingredients. My thing is, if we can just change the way we eat, that would make huge progress. And over this weekend, I was talking to a man, and he was saying how, hey, if that's going to help my heart, he went plant-based whole food, and he's not even a Seventh-day Adventist. And he was just so amazed that he lost so much weight, feels so much better, has so much more energy. He's not short of breath. And he was just saying how awesome it is just to be able to follow that kind of a diet. And he just feels so alive, lost a ton of weight. Diet soda is packed full of human-made chemicals. It's more dangerous than sugar. Chemicals are found in diet soda. They wreak havoc in our digestive health, and the gut plays a central role in our immune function, which is so key to. We're getting more and more people that have gut problems that I'm seeing that are coming in ever since 2020. And I think it has something to do with depression, as well as some other things that are going on. Now, there is one soda that can be a good thing, which is Zevia, which is actually sweetened with the herb stevia, and we do sell that at Country Life. But even at that, it's hydrogenated. The water or what they put in soda isn't necessarily really good either. So some healthy oils. Some oils are very highly processed, and so they can also cause inflammation and stress in our immune system. So what you really want to look for is extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil, avocado oil. Those are the ones that you want to do mostly with. For extra virgin olive oil, it's better if you use it for things like salad dressing and stuff like that instead of cooking. So coconut oil and avocado is better for cooking at high temperatures. So prepping your whole foods ahead of time. This way you're on a meal plan. You're going to save money. It's going to help you. And as you prep your stuff, it'll be so much easier to be able to pull and go, like your nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, all of those, because they make up a balanced diet. And then you can do large batches like baking or cooking your quinoa, your rice, your veggies. Put those in portions. You can freeze those portions, be able to pull them out. So if you don't use them within 4 days, put them in the freezer, then pull them out. So then that way you'll have them ready to go. Exercise is so important as well. We need to make sure that we're getting exercise even after your meals. Take like a 10-15 minute walk. I call it a digestive walk because we want to make sure that our digestion is, and we're helping it to be able to function. So then that way we feel better. You need to get your heart rate up at least 3 times a week. You can do aerobic exercise, jogging, or light swimming. You can also do 20 to 30 minutes 3 times a week, which will also reduce inflammation in your joints, support your immune cells, recycling, and also lessen that stress. Exercise neutralizes stress. So it's very key that we do that. And you don't need to push yourself to get benefits either. Just as long as you break a sweat, overly intense exercise can dampen your immune response. Well, we know that elite athletes have higher rates of upper respiratory tract infections because during those times when they're training the hardest, that's the time that they're pushing the limits on their immune system. And when we do too much, it can backfire. So we want to keep a balance. So what's the best exercise? Whatever one you like, whether it be a team sport or whether it be something on your own, whether it be Tai Chi, jogging, rollerblading, whatever that might be. Simple walking is a great thing as well. So it's okay, whatever it is. We should also be doing some stretching. This will help. because that gets the muscles ready to be able to make those muscles be able to move. And resistant training, I think, are probably the most important thing that we can do. If you don't have weights, you can do resistant training, and it will be amazing. When you're like 30, this is when you should really get into strength training. You should be into strength training all along, because if we keep our muscles strong, it will also keep our bones strong. As we age, our muscle mass slowly decreases. That's why it's important to do weights or strength training. Muscles facilitate movement and influence our mental as well as our physical abilities. Therefore, exercise helps to safeguard our muscles and our mass. So when you keep your muscles strong, you can decrease the risk of osteoporosis and other injuries. You'll feel more energetic. You'll seem to be more intelligent, and it will reduce your risk of illness and chronic diseases. Greater muscle mass, which means it will burn more fat. You'll look better and feel great. And you should aim for at least 2 to 4 times a week to do this heavy training, such as resistant training. You don't even need bands, but if you have bands, that's great. But just doing that resistant training is amazing. When it comes to mental health, we see that this is also a key factor that plays a role. Our immune function with emotions is it's like they go hand in hand. And so when we're sick, what does that do? It makes you feel sad. It makes you depressed. Your emotion is like, oh, you don't want to really do anything. You're tired. And research has shown that how we feel directly impacts our immunity. Negative emotions like stress or anger, our immunity weakens. But when we're happy and relaxed, it strengthens our immune response. Just like in Proverbs 17:22, the Bible has everything for every phase of our life, everything that has to do with anything. The Bible has something to say about it. So a merry heart doeth well like a medicine. That's what Proverbs 17:22 says. So that mind and body connection is one of the newer fields of wellness research. However, I've been doing this for 30 years, so it doesn't seem new to me. It just seems like research is starting to back up the Bible and more things that we've been teaching. And how does it work? Emotions release hormones. The brain releases chemical messengers, which is also hormones, and that directly influences our immune system. So in order to strengthen the immune system, you need to create habits that foster positive healing feelings, and it reduces exposure to negative feelings. So these are some things that you can do. First trick is practice gratitude. Be thankful for what you have and everything that you have. Take a 7-day no complaint challenge, right? For the next 7 days, say that you're not going to complain about nothing, no matter what. You're going to look at the best part of it. Meditate. Do some more things. Pick a scripture, whether it be a Bible promise, because they're powerful. Keep that with you on a 3x5 card. Carry it with you wherever you go, so that way you can meditate upon God's word. Or just take time to think about the tree, or look at the sky and think about the air or whatever. Limit your social media. Limit the news consumption. News is just bad news, it seems like, whenever we look at things. So how do we stay safe during COVID? Well, first, wear a mask if your immune system is down. And if you feel better wearing a mask, then do it. Because if your mind is saying something, just go with what your mind is saying. Second thing is, keep a distance when talking to others outside your household, especially if you're sick. And be careful. If you're sick, you should really stay home. The third thing is check your oxygen level. If you have a pulse oximeter, that checks the oxygen and heart rate. If you have any dizziness or shortness of breath, or COVID can cause low oxygen levels, and give you some outward signs. So that's kind of a sign. You want to make sure that that oxygen level is like 90 or above, or 92 or above. When it's 90 or below, that gives you a little idea that your oxygen levels are not where they should be. Limit your indoor exposure, and make sure that you have airflow in your house. Get outside, get some of that sunshine. Number 5 is wash your hands with normal soap. Doesn't have to be antibacterial soap. Make sure that make sure that you stay clean, especially your hands, because your hands are touching everything. You can also use hand sanitizer. That's 60%. 80% is better, but it seems like all the hand sanitizer has dropped down to 60%. So what kind of supplements can you take? Well, vitamin C is very good, and that's something that will flush out of your system. So if you take too much of it, it will come out when you urinate because it's water soluble. Next thing is vitamin D. It's very good. The best thing is sunshine. However, if you're not getting sun, then you need to take a supplement. Sometimes if you have milk allergies, lactose intolerance, stick to a vegetarian diet and get limited sun exposure. Omega-3 is very huge. We definitely need that. I think a lot of times we don't have enough of it. And it's an anti-inflammatory nutrient, which you can find in avocados and nuts, especially omega-3 is good for our physical as well as our mental health. So it's a very important one. Some other things is resveratrol. It balances our immune response and it helps to rev up our immune system. We can do a liver detox, and that really helps a lot because our liver does a lot of different things, and it helps to do and control different things that are going through our body. So a liver detox is one of those things that are very important. Probiotics is another thing. It helps protect the digestion as well as supports your immune system. And then there's mushroom extract that can help with influenza, different diseases, and it also increases the activity of those killer cells. So mushroom extracts is a number of different mushrooms that they put together in a dropper format. So some hydrotherapy and natural treatments is what I want to do next. And so the things that I'll be sharing with you is things on hydrotherapy, such as heating compresses, hot and cold showers. I am now going to transfer down in the back room. So I'm going to have my friend come with me. And so we're going to go into one of the treatment rooms, and I want to make sure that you can see this hands-on. Here you can take notes if you like. So we're going to be going through heating compress, hot and cold shower, hot and cold foot bath, hot foot bath, fomentation, massage, and herbs. This is what you might want to write down. Mullein is really good for your lungs. Astragalus is really good for your immune system. Pine needles, I think I spelled that wrong. It's supposed to be not nettles, but needles. So with that, echinacea and golden seal is really good. Elderberry is good. Garlic, myrrh, buku, ginger is really good to help clean out your lungs. Sage, wild cherry bark, gutta cola, oregano we have used for people that have been really sick with COVID. So we've helped people with that. Eucalyptus, peppermint, and lemon. These are in tea tree oil. You can use those in your air. What do you call those things? The air things that we have at the country store.
Oh, diffusers?
Yeah, diffusers. If you have a diffuser, I would say that would be really good to get as well. All right, so I'm going to put us here. All right, so basically what we're going to be doing is I want to show you here at the Lifestyle Center, we have showers. We have showers that are set up where we do hot and cold. And we like to tell people, if you want to help your immune system, then you want to take a hot and cold shower. So how do you do that? So basically with a hot and cold shower, all you're doing is you're taking your regular shower, and in here, I don't know if you can see, but we have these spigots, and it's like a whole bunch of them, right? And so they're all over in the shower room. So this thing does not work. We actually control it right here. People think that they can put on the nozzle, but they can't. So we'll put people in there and we'll put it on hot water, and then we will put it on cold water. And so they will be like, oh, it's hot. Oh, it's cold. But this we can do on our own when we're taking our showers in the morning. Every morning that you take a shower, you can take a 3-minute hot shower, followed by a 30-second cold, and then do it again, 3 minutes hot, and then 30 seconds cold, and then 3 minutes hot and 30 seconds cold, end there, and then dry yourself up, and then you can get ready for the day. This is one thing that you can do. So another thing you can do, like if you have if you have a cough or your chest is bad, you see this t-shirt. What you want to do is you want to put it in ice cold water and you squeeze it out, and then you put it on. Once you put that on, you're going to take a cutout bag, garbage bag, and you put it over the top of that, and then you put on a heavy sweatshirt, and you keep that on for a few hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, or overnight. And then when you get up, you can take a nice shower. But actually, when you get up and after the hour or two, you can take a cold washcloth and just rub it all over. Okay. So now, another thing that you can do if you're not feeling very well is a hot foot bath. So I have my person here, and we're just going to show this very simply how that's done. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here. So they're going to sit here in the chair, and we're going to, this is supposed to be hot water in there. And maybe some of you guys know who this is. This is Serena. So that was nice. She's able, so if you can just take your shoes off. And she would take off her socks. And then you just put your feet in there. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that the feet are, you know, the water stays warm in there. And so we will cover her up. And what we're actually doing is a fever treatment, meaning that we're taking and making sure that she is, instead of doing it in a hot bath, because a lot of bathtubs do not have a lot of, they're not very hot. So what we want to do is we want to cover this to keep the steam in there, and we want to make sure that she's covered really well. We don't want anything coming out. So as she's covered like this, she's going to start increasing in her like she'll start getting hot. So I have ice water here, as you can see, ice water, and then a washcloth. So I would get this wet, and I would just, you know, make sure that she's got, you know, so she doesn't get hot, and she's already getting hot. And then also we would give her some water as well. So then that way, you don't want them to get dizzy or fall out or whatever either, but making sure that their head is cool and the rest of their body is warm. So this is the easy way to do a hot, like your a hot tub or a fever treatment. This is the easier way of doing it. We can also do something where do like a hot and cold foot bath. So we would actually minister this for about a half an hour. We do this for about a half an hour. One place that's really good to do this is actually in your bathtub. Just sitting in your bathtub with a chair in your basin right where the water is, and you can continue to add water. So every so often I would check the water here, make sure it stays hot, and I would take a pitcher with hot water. And when you do that, you have them move their feet to the side, so that way your hand is between their feet and where you're going to put the water. So you move their feet off to the side, or even have them put it way up there or something, and you would pour the water in, and you would mix it a little bit in there. So then that way they're starting to see that it's getting hot again. So you want to continue to do that. If we were doing the other, we would do something that's called a hot and cold contrast. So we would have them in really hot water for about 3 minutes, And then we would have them put their feet in the cold water for 30 seconds. And then we would have them go back to the hot. And then they would go back to the cold. We do that 3 to 5 times for a treatment. What this is doing is when we're heating up the body or the feet, so if someone has like a headache or a problem with their head, we can either soak their hands in hot water or we can soak their feet in hot water. And that will bring the blood all the way down to this way. So then that way their head feels better. And then put cold to their forehead, around their necks. And then that way that's getting the blood out of that area. So when you put heat somewhere, that draws the blood to that area. What happens with the blood vessels are that when you put heat, it opens up 40% larger, meaning that the blood flow is going into the area where the heat is. When you put the cold there, it takes the blood out of the area. So it like squeezes that blood because the blood vessel goes smaller. So it's squeezing the blood out of that area. And as you continue to do the contrast, you're seeing that the blood is getting in the area, then you're taking the blood out, putting the new blood in, taking that out, putting new blood in, taking it out. So what does that do? That means you have blood flow. When you have blood flow like that, it's taking the blood out, the old blood out, bringing new blood in. And what does blood do? It carries the nutrients. So that's why people start feeling better when you just do simple things like this. These things are powerful. Don't underestimate the simplicity of this. So the next thing that we can do is simply showing how to do like fomentations. Fomentations is one of my favorites. I've helped people that have had massive strokes, people that can barely walk, and just kind of change that all up.
Can I put my socks back on?
What's that?
Can I put my socks back on?
Yeah, you put your socks back on. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna move this. Like so. Usually when we're doing one of these, we will also put their feet, you can also put their feet in the hot water while they're laying down. So if you want to lay down here, I was trying to make sure you weren't leaving the wetness.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah. Oh, face up.
Oh, face up?
And then your knees up with this. Yep. So then what's happening here is, let's just say that she doesn't have anything on, right? Maybe her underwear or undergarments. And so we're gonna put a towel over her. I'm just gonna put it double. Okay, so basically, we would have the person like this. If you have a fomentation pack, that's what you really want to have. We do sell these. If you don't, you can use a towel. But a fomentation pack looks like this. This is a foamy or fomentation, right? If you don't have one of those, you can use towels. So if you're using your towels, your fomentation, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get this wet, you'll wring it out, and then you'll roll it up. So when you roll these up, you'll put them in a plastic bag. So you want about 3 of these. You'll put them in a plastic bag. You'll put them in the microwave for 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. I like them hot. And when I pull one out, it's rather hot. And you wanna roll it and put it into something that's gonna hold the heat in. So then that way you can wrap it up, and then you're gonna put it on them. So if we're doing this, we will take, so if she's sick or she has a throat chest congestion, we would put a towel over her, like so. Then we would take the fomentation pack, right? And we would put that over the top. And then we would cover her back up. And say, is that hot? Is that too hot? Is it okay? If she says it's a little hot, then we just kind of little air in there. depending on where it is. And then during that time, I would be checking on her feet to make sure this is hot. Making sure that this is hot here and pouring in there if I need to. Otherwise, if it's all good, that's great. And then I would also take the cold and I would put it on her forehead. So, or even over the whole face area. This feels really nice and refreshing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so after 5 minutes, I would take this off. And then I would take this cold and I would rub her chest or rub their chest. I would rub that whole area where that heat was and briskly rub it area. Then I would dry it with a towel. I have another towel. I would dry the area. Then I would put this towel back on, make sure that it's not too wet. If this towel gets wet, you want to use another towel. Then I would run and get that heat and I would put another fomentation, another heat pack on. And I would do this like 5 to 7 times. So it'd be hot, cold for 5 times. And you want to make sure that their head stays cool. I like to keep the cold on during the whole period of time. And all along checking this. Now, another thing, a lot of times what we do is we put another fomentation underneath before they lie down. You can put another pack down. That way you're getting the whole backside as well as you're getting underneath for the backside as well as the top side here. So all that blood is going into that area. So you're getting that blood flow there. And then when we do the cold, we're taking that blood out of that area. And then now when we're ready to finish, we will take off this pack. We will take this, we'll get it wet. We'll rub. Then we'll dry, wipe down every area so she's completely dry. And then we'll do the feet. We'll have a towel there ready to wipe her feet when they come out. So we'll have her take her feet out. And we'll dry the feet. And then also when you're doing that, you're going to take every part of their body. When they're like that, you're going to take this cold and you're going to take the cold and you're going to rub every part of the body here, and you're going to go up the leg part here and you'll dry it, because you want to make sure that if they got any perspiration, if they did a little sweating, when you do that, you're going to want to dry that area. And then you go the other leg and we'll do one arm and then the other arm. So then that way the whole body, after it's hot, they perspire, they get wet. We want to make sure it gets cooled down, dry that up. And then that way, after they're done with that, then we would let them go and rest for 1 to 2 hours. And then have them get up from that rest, 1 to 2 hours. And then they would go and take a shower, like a regular tepid shower. And then that's it. So if we had one on the back, we would have them sit up. We would remove that one. And then we would do the cold. We would do the cold all in the back, rub that whole back area. Then we would dry it with our towel, make sure that she's dry. And then we would have them lie back down And then that's when they would rest. So this treatment is just like really huge. When I do treatments like this, I've done it and in areas where they have pain, like say if they have a knee pain or something like that, same thing, you can do it for that as well. All right. Did I do everything? So those are key things that you can do for people if they're not feeling well. Drinking plenty of water is really a big key as well. So we did fomentation. I shared with you about the hot and cold showers. You can do hot and cold foot baths. You can do a hot foot bath. Any questions?
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Julie, for that, the demonstration and the presentation before. There was actually a question earlier regarding sleep, and that was insomnia. What can we do about insomnia? If you have any answers for that, any suggestions?
Yeah, so insomnia, if it's been going on for a long time, yeah, there's some herbs that a person can take that will help. We have a mixture of herbs that we use. Some of them would be like skullcap, hops, chamomile, valerian, and kava kava. Now that's a heavy mix, but you know, if you're not getting sleep at night, then that's not a good thing, right? So you want to make sure that you're following some of those things. Are you eating a heavy meal at night? Are you watching TV late at night? Are you drinking water late at night? Are you stressed out about something at night? These are some of the things that have to be issues that are resolved. Maybe you're not getting enough exercise. If you start increasing your exercise, I think that you might start feeling over a period of time feeling better, and then taking some of the herbal stuff, like maybe 5 o'clock at night or something, that can also help.
Okay, thanks for that. So someone is asking if you can put those herbs in the chat, or if there's a source that you can lead us to where we can find that information.
Yeah, actually, if you call Country Life, we do have a mixture of that.
So call Country Life.
Yeah, I'm going to put the number on there.
Okay.
706
Great.
9194.
Okay. And okay, there it is. Okay, thank you for that response. I see that Ms. Carol has her hand up. Ms. Carol, would you like to ask your questions? You can unmute yourself. And then we have a few other questions.
Thank you, Sister Merlene. Good evening, Doctor. I enjoyed your presentation very much. Could you go back a little bit to the first demonstration where you had hot water? How hot was the hot water, and how long did you recommend that? I think you said for 30 minutes.
Yeah, so the treatment will last about 30 to 45 minutes. And with that, the hot water is as hot as they can stand it. Now, if a person is a diabetic, you probably don't want to do that for a diabetic. And if you're doing fomentation, you're going to put it over their hips and stomach area, just because people that have diabetes, they can't really feel very well. And so we don't want to burn anything or bring on blisters, because that would not be a good thing. So that contraindication would be if they're diabetic. In some cases, if maybe with some other things, if they have high blood pressure or heart problems, you may not do that either over the chest area, but you can always do the back area. So the hot foot bath by itself, make sure that they're not a diabetic, and you're able to do that. If it's hot, you might want to test it with your elbow to see how hot that is. Some people can or cannot take very much heat, like hot water. So you have to be very careful that it's not going to scald them or create blisters to the skin. So it's going to be hot, but not hot, if that makes sense.
May I also ask another quick question about oil of oregano and the efficacy of using the capsules as opposed to the extracts for oil of oregano and colds?
Yeah, so the capsules are fine, but if you use the oil, you will notice that you will have better, it'll get into your blood system, it'll get into your body a lot faster and quicker. Whenever you use like a tincture or a tea, the tincture would be way more concentrated. If you drink the tea, it's not as concentrated, but it still is more effective because it's getting into the bloodstream. And when the blood goes, it goes everywhere, right? So that's why you would want to do it more of a liquid format. But the capsules are fine. If you're not sick and you're just taking it like once a month or every few days or something, just to kind of keep your immune system up, that's fine if you're taking capsule.
Really appreciate that. At one time, I was taking just a gamut of things for colds, oil of oregano, echinacea, golden seal, and elderberry. And another medical missionary told me, Carol, that's way too much. Echinacea and golden seal, maybe with a little bit of elderberry, is effective. But to add the oil of oregano would be a little bit too strong. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think you need to take it all the time either. I mean, if you're around people that are sick, you might want to take a little bit here and there. I know that for me, I used to take a lot of echinacea and golden seal, especially when I'm working with people. When I was working in the hospital, I would just boost my immune system by taking ginger and vitamin C. I'd take like about 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C with some ginger and honey. And that seemed to really help because it was like a hot water with that. So I made it into a tea, and that really seemed to do a lot. So basically you want to do what you can do. I know that I used to have a tincture of echinacea and golden seal. So if I was working with anybody that was sick, I would just go around the corner, put some in my mouth, drink some water, and then be able to work with people. Never get sick that way. But then again, I was doing other things like exercise, drinking plenty of water, getting my rest at night. So all of these have to have a play in it because it's like a wheel. If we're not doing all of these and we're deficient in some areas, then that's not going to be a good circle. It's not going to work. So that's why we got to look at all of those things when we're considering our health.
Thanks, doctor, for taking my questions. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your questions, Sister Carol. So we have a couple of questions regarding the demonstration. The question is asked, do you wear the blankets during the cold and hot foot baths?
Okay, so it's good to keep the body from getting like a breeze or air. So you want to keep the body covered if you can. You don't have to necessarily. I mean, I'm the type of doctor that goes into people's homes, so I have to find whatever they have and try to use whatever they have. If I don't have something in my car, like the fomentation or something like that, but I usually try to carry some of these things if I can. But sometimes I'm traveling, so I don't have that with me. So I'm looking for whatever I can. I get pretty creative. It is a better idea if you can, but you don't have to when you're doing the hot foot bath, like from hot and cold. You don't have to, but you can. We also have a book here from Dr. Marianne McNelius, and I like it because it has the pictures and it tells you what you need in order to do it. And then it tells you how long, so it gives you all the specifics for each of those. It's called God's Healing Way. It's in that little, it's like a book that's like a magazine size, but it's kind of thick. It probably has about like 9 or 10 chapters in it, but it's all about sharing why these different things are important, how to do the water treatments as well.
Okay, great. Here's another question that came in earlier after the demo. What are your thoughts on adding, I guess that's bicarbonate soda, to the water during the fomentations in the hot and ice water?
Okay, so that's not fomentation. That would be during the fomentation. Oh, you mean like for the hot foot part, their feet probably.
Yes. Oh, that's
Okay.
Thea. If she wants to clarify the question.
Yeah, so basically you don't have to. I know that when we're doing like if you're doing the contrast of hot and cold, you could actually use salt to make it even more effective. We do that when we are doing the sinus area. We will put salt in the cold water. That's why I think that it's so healing, because I used to go to the islands a lot, and my friend used to get really, really red eyes, and just being in that salt water, going underneath in the salt water and opening up her eyes. And she would do that for like I don't know how long. And then she would come up, and within seconds, her eyes would be just white as could be. And so salt water is very healing. And if you're using salt water, I can see that the soda, the bicarbonate soda, I don't know why you would want to use that. You don't have to use that.
Okay. So there are more questions, but I see Grace has had her hand up with a question.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this presentation. It's really, really good to see that we have this information. A lot of it I kind of knew, but not a whole lot. So this is a great refresher. My question is, I have my mom, she has been diagnosed with dementia, and they have her taking something like Seroquel. And I really don't like that for her. And I just wanted to know if there is something that I can use for her in place of the Seroquel.
Yeah, so I probably have a protocol for that. You said she had dementia?
Yeah, she has been diagnosed with dementia. And it's kind of hard for me because she goes through that sundown syndrome. So in the evening, she gets very overstimulated. And I try to turn off all the lights at a certain time, you know, and try to get her to bed, but she moves around a lot. So it's really hard for me to get her in bed. So therefore, I don't really get much sleep. So I just wanted to know if there is something that I can do to help calm her down, because sometimes she gets a little bit overwhelmed with anxiety, I guess you can say, and it's very difficult to calm her down. So I just wanted to know if there is something that I can do to help her, something that's natural.
Yeah, I think I would use maybe something like some tea, maybe some tea at night, some chamomile and hops. You could use maybe a little valerian, not a lot, just to kind of help calm down her nerves and make her feel a little, you know, because the warm tea kind of helps with that. Even taking like a warm bath, not hot, but warm, because that will help with the nerves, right? So when I think of the brain and the nerves, I think of B vitamins. B vitamins are the key vitamins when it comes to your nervous system and your brain. Maybe even helping with her brain, I would maybe use a little Bacopa. That's B-A-C. I could put that in the chat. B-A-C-O-P-A, Bacopa, which is an herb. It didn't come out. It came out as bacon. B-A-C-O-P-A. Let's see if it'll work this time. There you go. That to me is the #1 herb for your brain. You know, we used to talk about ginkgo. Yeah, but here's another thing too. What helps is Gutta Cola. And the reason why Gutta Cola is good is because what it does is it opens up the blood vessels. So when you use like ginkgo biloba or bacopa, that will actually get into those blood vessels in your brain, because they're capillaries. They're small blood vessels that are called capillaries. And so it will open those up. So when you take it with ginkgo or bacopa, that will actually help with the blood vessels. But what's taking place with dementia and Alzheimer's is that the brain cells are dying.
Mm-hmm.
So long ago, 30 years ago, when I was taught, they said that our brain cells, whatever we have, that's all we have, but that's a myth. In our brains and our brain cells, they can reproduce and make more. They call it rerouting and sprouting. And so the process that takes place with dementia or Alzheimer's is that when a cell dies, it stays there. And the autophagy is not taking place, meaning that it's not cleaning up those dead cells and taking them out. So when it stays there, it's kind of like having a rotten apple in your bushel. And so with that rotten apple, it affects the other apples that are good, and then they start getting spoiled and they start getting rotten as well. So that's what takes place in the brain when dementia or Alzheimer's is taking place. So then these cells stay there and they die. And so that cleansing process is not taking place. And so in order to do that, we need to help with some herbs or something that can help clean it out.
So Dr. Julie, can you share your contact information, I guess, for other questions that are not necessarily related to the hydrotherapy? That way, I'm sure there are probably tons of questions that can be asked of you. So Grace, you're okay with the answer?
Yes, thank you so much. And I do have the contact information, and I'm glad that she's in Georgia. Woohoo! So this is great news. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay, there was a question earlier. Can the foot therapy be done in the mornings in lieu of the actual shower, the hot cold therapy?
Okay, so can you do what now?
The foot therapy in the mornings in lieu of the actual shower, the hot cold therapy.
Yeah, you could do the hot and cold foot bath if you want to. But if you're doing it in the shower in the morning, that's going to be even better yet, because that'll stimulate your whole body. But you want to make sure that the cold stays on your forehead and your face and your throat when you do the cold, because you want to make sure that you stay, with it. Otherwise, if you have too much hot here, that's not going to be good, and you can get dizzy, you can pass out. So you want to make sure the heat is here as well as the backside. And then when you turn on that cold, make sure you really get it on your head, your face, and your upper part here, and then a little bit on your back, and then do it again. So I would say the hot and cold showers are probably better and more effective than if you're just doing the hot foot bath. But then again, it just depends on the person, who you're treating, what's going on with them. I mean, if that's all you can do, that's better than doing nothing.
Okay. Can hydrotherapy help gastritis?
I believe it can, because what you're doing is you're working with the GI tract. But with that, I would say you might want to take a look at your diet and also your eating. Are you chewing your food, and are you eating slow, or are you just swallowing it? We get into a fast pace where we need to chew our food. And I always say chew, 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 because it's good for you. We need to continue to chew our food, enjoy the food, so it's I can't even say the word, masticated. And that means that you're using your mastoid muscle to chew that, so it's more like a liquid or a paste before you swallow it. And not to take a large amount of food at a time when you're doing that. The other thing is, don't drink water with your meals, because that will dilute the enzymes and the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, and therefore won't be able to do the digestion properly. So that's why we have to chew to get the enzymes there, so that way they can do their part. So when we swallow it, and then this part here is doing its part to finish up the digestive process. So that does take some time to do, and therefore you want to make sure that you don't eat a lot of different types of foods. And also, so that would be the first thing that I would do. The other thing is, you can do the fomentations. That would probably be a really good thing to do. But I would definitely check the other things, because that's probably what the cause is more than anything else. And then there's a few herbs that you could take as well.
Okay. We have a couple other questions in the chat, but I see Sunshine has a hand up.
Yes, hi. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is kind of related to water, but not exactly. I don't know how you would look at it, but I have two quick questions and they're sort of related. I'm asking for my daughter. So the first one is, what do you do for spring allergies when you're in your first trimester of pregnancy? And the second one is a little bit different. Her 2-year-old has a stuffy nose at night always. So I was trying to use eucalyptus and I tried to do a steam on him when he was sleeping, but it's not very easy to do because he's in the crib and I had to put the water on the floor, the pot on the floor to try and do that, and it just doesn't work. So the question is, what do we do for spring allergies for her in her first trimester, and what do we do for the 2-year-old who has a stuffy nose at night, and he has it every night, it seems.
And he's how old? 3?
2,
2.
just over 2.
So is he still breastfed, or is he
No.
eating food?
No, he's not breastfed. And I said he doesn't really eat a lot. He doesn't like to eat. I don't know. It's difficult to give him food to eat.
Does he seem like he's like has mucus?
Oh yeah, he has a lot. She has to use I think they call it the snot sucker or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. At night.
Just, okay, yeah, so basically, he's getting something that's creating mucus in his system. Whatever that is, whether it's drinking, whatever, I don't know, eating or drinking, I would think. So that has to be the thing that needs to be stopped. He needs to probably eat more fruits and vegetables. Maybe he has a problem with grain. I don't know, that could be a problem. I know that with the way that they're growing grains now, you have to be very careful. People are getting more and more problems with digestion. They're getting problems like with, like their maybe mucus and all this other stuff because of the sprays and whatnot. So that's one thing I would do is I would look at the food, what's going into the system, because more than likely there might be something there that might be causing it. Do they eat meat? Do they eat milk? Do they do cheese?
No milk, no meat, no
So,
cheese. They're vegans and they eat very healthfully. She and her husband, yeah.
mhm. Okay, so
May I suggest,
Hello?
yes, what did you say?
may I suggest that you can cut an onion and leave it in the room?
Yeah, you can do that. However, another thing is if you
Okay.
have like a steam with the like where it's a vaporizer, that might be really good, and maybe put eucalyptus or tea tree, or mix the two together and put that in the room, so then that way he's smelling that. You can also rub Vicks on his feet, put socks on.
Okay, great, thanks. And for the trimester and spring allergies?
Yeah, so apparently there might be some underlying cause with certain types of foods that she might be allergic to, and the only time she has that problem is during the fall or the spring, or when those seasons are, because of the pollen or the flowering time is coming out. So if we know what that is, the type of food that might be, then that would probably cause that to take place. Since she is pregnant, is she drinking enough water?
I don't know, yeah.
That might be one key thing right there.
Okay, thanks so much for your help.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a few other questions that may not quite be related. One is, since giving birth, my hair continues to shed and isn't growing. What would you recommend?
Yeah, so you're probably like 50s, or are you 40s? The age group?
If somebody wants to put that in the chat. So that was.
What's the age? Like, what's your age range? 40, 50?
So Gabrielle asked the question.
So
I don't know
40,
if it's for her or.
yeah, so you're in your 40s. Yeah, so it could be a number of things. It sounds like it's probably stress related. whether that stress is work, whether that stress is finance, whether that stress is people, whether that stress is figuring out what's going on in your life. But it sounds like you probably have a lot of stress going on. Maybe you're being overworked, all of the above. So that part right there, I would say start exercising more if you can. You need to eliminate some of the stress. The stress might be, you need to maybe pray more, ask God to help you figure out how to do ABC, and just give it to Him. If it's job related, I know that can be stressful, because if you don't work, that means you don't have enough money to pay your bills, and it can be a real cycle. But sometimes we have to figure out what to invest time in, because most of the time people spend the first 40 years of their life trying to create wealth. And then the last 40 years of our life, we're spending our wealth because now we have bad health. So we have to find that balance. And I think stress is probably one of the #1 things that most people have a problem with, especially with balance, that temperance. And so that's key. Environment, yes, that's a huge thing too. Having a toxic work environment, if there's a way that you can, I don't know exactly what kind of work that you do, but if you're surrounded with a lot of people in cubicles, that can be very hard. If you could like put something in your ear where you can play maybe gospel music, or whether it be listening to the Bible or something like that. So that way your mind stays upon those things while you're working or whatever, to kind of help you to relax in that situation. But I think the best thing is we can pray for you, Gabriella, and that God will show you some things that you can do, because I don't know exactly what that is. And with there a lot of people on, you might want to do a one-on-one health consult with me. You can probably call one of those numbers, and I can get a hold of you that way. Or you can call me and we can set up a time, either at Country Life or whatever. I mean, call as a phone consult.
Great. Excellent. Questions are rolling in, and you might be getting a few calls on consults. Some of them are not quite related. Here's maybe this is a quick one. What is good for diarrhea, otherwise from charcoal?
Yeah, charcoal is really good for diarrhea. That would probably be my first go-to, would be charcoal, if you have charcoal. It could, you know, what exactly the cause of that diarrhea? Is it from certain foods because you have some kind of a digestive problem, like Crohn's or something like that? Or is it because you ate food that was not good, like spoiled? Or was it maybe food poisoning? Or is it something that happens all the time? You could actually be allergic to food that your body is not working with, and that could be why you have diarrhea. So you could have some digestive problems. Maybe you need more probiotics. You could also maybe think about maybe taking some slippery elm and aloe vera 3 times a day, like half a cup of aloe vera with a tablespoon of slippery elm. If this is a consistent thing that keeps going on, it sounds like you might have an imbalance in your microbiome for your stomach area, but it could be something else. So I'm not really for sure, but I would definitely use charcoal. But if this is an ongoing thing, then we need to find what exactly is causing it. And it could be stress as well.
Yeah, stress pops up in everything, just about cause some havoc for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you this other question, but then I would like if you can, I guess, share with everyone in general for these questions that we're not going to have time for, how you would do your consults or what you would advise for them. But here's the question: are eczema and alopecia autoimmune diseases? What can one do to better it?
Yeah, I had somebody just not too long ago with that too. What did I do for them? That's another thing, that there is a protocol that I have for that. And so it entails a lot of different things with herbs, diet, and vitamins. And so there's a host of things that you would have to do for that. I can't tell you what they all are because that's a lot.
Okay, so can you speak on how we can contact you for consults? There are a few other questions you probably see. There's one on high blood pressure and some specific things. If you want to handle that one.
Yeah, so for high blood pressure, yeah, we have a lot of people that have high blood pressure. You know, you probably have a lot of stress too, right? Or maybe not, you know, with high blood pressure, I had a guy come in and I put him on some herbs and changed his diet. Within 2 weeks, he was off all of his high blood pressure medication. The first thing you can do right now, before you get the herbs, I would say take 4 stalks of celery. You can juice it, you can eat it. But if you eat 4 stalks of celery, I would say within 20 to 30 minutes, your numbers will go down up to like 10%, like 10, right? So if it's like 140, it would go down to 130 over 80 or 70 or whatever. So it would go down by 10 points just by doing celery. But what you want to do with that is you take 4 stalks of celery and you eat those for 14 days. So every day, take 4 stalks of celery for 2 weeks. Then you're off, meaning you don't take the celery for 1 week. And then you go back on the celery, 4 stalks every day for 2 weeks. And then you're off for 1 week. And you'll do that like 6 times. So that'll be about 3 months. Usually at that point, your body is stabilized with that blood sugar level. And if you're on medication, then you have to monitor that medication and you have to find out once your blood sugar starts going, or I'm sorry, when your high blood pressure starts going down, you want to make sure that it stays, if it's down so low or whatever, then you need to tell your doctor that you need to start coming off of that. If they don't want to help you with that, you need to find somebody that will, because whoever put you on the medication needs to help take you off that medication. And so I usually tell people when that starts going down and it gets to a certain point, you want to half the medication. And then once it goes down again, because it might go up just a little bit once you take part of that medication away, and it'll go up a little bit. And as you continue to do the protocol, then it'll go down again. And once it gets down to a certain point, then you'll half again, and then you'll do it again. So it can be either a slow process or a quicker process. But as you're doing these things, you have to make sure that you're monitoring these things. You're telling your doctor what you're doing. They might laugh at you that you're doing the celery, but as you do the celery, note what your blood pressure numbers are. Keep a journal and let them know what's going on. But we do have herbs and they really do help. I can't remember all the herbs in there, but I know it's cat's claw, hibiscus, hawthorn berries, and a few others. And they're very effective. I've put a lot of people, I've told a lot of people to try the herbs, change your diet, make sure you're doing the 8 laws of health, and it really helps a ton.
All right, thank you for that. There was a question on fibroids, if they can be, treated naturally, fibroids.
Yeah, so fibroids, yes, they can. The first thing, I just had a lady, a young girl, about a year ago that came into Country Life, and she had fibroids pretty bad. And I just started asking her questions like, so do you eat a lot of fried foods, like fried chicken, French fries? French fries is a biggie. French fries is not good, okay? Anything that's fried, that's probably the #1 problem that affects them to make it even worse. Then I started saying some other things too, and most people are just like, how do you know these things? Because these are certain things that that really play a big role in in that. So our diet is like really one of the biggest key factors in a lot of disease problems. And so, I mean, you can lose weight just by what you eat. You don't even have to exercise, and you can lose weight just by food. So getting back to fibroids, oils is another thing. Using oily foods or things that are really high in fat or oil is another thing. And that can be like even in dressings and stuff like that. So you have to be very careful. So the better oils to use would be like your flaxseed oil, your nuts, avocados. You want to use those kind of things because that's going to be way better. But most of the time it's like fried stuff. Mhm.
Okay, let me see. Oh, there was a question on the book that you had mentioned on fomentation. Was that God's Healing Way?
Yes,
And the author?
Dr. Marianne by Dr. Mary Ann McNeilius.
Okay. Okay, so thank you so much. You have answered the questions. You have shared your number, and that's key. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, they're going to be able to do that.
Or go on WhatsApp.
From WhatsApp?
I've had a lot of people reach out on WhatsApp or Signal.
Okay.
The best time to reach me, oh, let's see, probably between 1 and so it depends on what day it is. 1 to 4 or like 1 to 4 p.m. at Country Life, or sometimes later at night between 6 to 9. It just depends on the day, because Thursdays we're open until 7 p.m. And if I'm doing any of the health lectures, then that's from 5 to 6. And if I'm not doing a lecture, more than likely I have a person that I'm seeing, because I have a practice at Country Life. So I do see patients there. And then sometimes I do stuff with the patients or guests here at the Lifestyle Center.
Okay.
I did put the name of the book, and I don't know where it is though.
Did you share it to someone in particular, or I don't see it in the?
Oh, that's what it is. It should be everybody.
So one person has the answer.
Gabrielle has it. Here we go. Here we go. So it's God's Healing Way by Dr. Mary and Nick.
I want to thank you, Dr. Julie, so much for your presentation again and the demo. And and again, thank you for sharing your contact info. Excellent.
Thanks so much, Doc.